doing. I'm sorry, I'm back. My phone is doing some. People are calling in. You blocking people, and they still trying to call in. But as I was saying, in the movie, I haven't seen the movie yet. But in the movie Invisible Man, that's just a prime example of how the enemy fights us in the spirit. He is attacking us, and we can't see him, and we're trying to fight something we can't see with natural things. And so she's trying to fight back her husband, and because he's invisible, with natural things. And that's how we do in the spiritual realm. When the enemy, he's attacking us, you're trying to fight him in with natural things in the spirit. And God is telling you can't. So he's telling, this is what you need to do. This is how you can defeat him. If you put on my armor, not what you want to put on, not what you want to do, how you want to do this thing, where you want to go, how you want to pray, all that stuff. We want to do it our way. This is not Burger King. God is saying, this is his way, or you just going to lose this battle. And if we don't listen and pay attention, and we don't do what he's telling us and calling us to do, then we find ourselves in situations. So he's telling us, put on the whole armor of God. These are the parts of the armor. So last week we talked about the loins girded about with truth. We're going to talk about having on the breastplate of righteousness. And when I saw that, and I was reading it, and it talks about how the soldiers, the breastplate, is the big part that covers everything. And the reason why the soldiers had on this breastplate was it was to cover all the vital organs, all right, from getting hit and getting attacked. It's supposed to be able to penetrate back then they didn't have bullets. Back then they had the swords and all that stuff that they had back then. So it was supposed to protect them from those attacks and stuff. Nowadays, I don't think that breastplate would have held up nowadays with the bullets we got. It would probably but it's no different than what police officers wear, their vests and stuff. It's just like that. They wear those vests to protect what? The vital organs. What is the main vital organ that it needs to protect? It's protecting the heart. So the soldiers had to put on the breastplate in order to protect the heart, because the heart is so important. And the same thing if we think now in this day and time, even with our police officers, that when they wear their bulletproof vest, the bulletproof vest is there to protect their vital organs. The main organ that bulletproof vest protects is the heart. So that's what we're talking about, the heart. Because the heart is so important. If the heart gets penetrated, or you get shot in the heart or something like that, everything stops. You decease to live no more. You are not. That's it. You're gone. There are other parts in your body that you can get hit with, and they're able to save your life, or they'll be able to go in and take the bullet out and you're alive. But with that heart, if you get shot in the heart, that's it. That's no more. You're no more living. So that's why the breastplate is so important. We're not talking about the righteous part. We're going to just talk about the breastplate and what it protects. It's so important because it is to protect your heart. And God picks us according to our hearts. God picks us according to your heart. When it comes to people, when it comes to things, what type of heart you have. And he doesn't choose you because of your deeds and what you did good and how you preach and how you did this and how you look and how you walk and how you talk, how many hairs on your head, what skin color you are. He doesn't choose you because of that. He chooses you because of your heart. If your heart is right, and he talks about that so much in scripture, having your heart right. That is so important in this walk, is having your heart right. So, if he's choosing for your heart, he's looking for those whose hearts are right. Not perfect. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not talking about being perfect, because we're not perfect. We're striving. But he's talking about those people that have a heart, the heart like his, a heart to love, a heart to forgive, a heart for people, a heart to help. Your heart. And sometimes you have to examine your heart. Where is your heart? What type of heart do you have? And that's so important to understand. It really is to understand. So when we're talking about this armor, we're talking about the heart and how important it is. Now, the heart attacks. When you have a heart attack, I believe everything shuts down. Everything shuts down. Your heart shuts down. Your heart goes and shut down, and there's nothing moving, nothing functioning. So when your heart is that way, think about in the natural, think about what happens when your heart shuts down in the spirit. When you shut your heart down spiritually, God can't get in there. God can't come in. And that is so important. That is so important. That is so important. Is that I'm sorry, you guys on Facebook didn't got my attention, but your heart is so important to protect it. in everything. Hey, Heavenly, I'm sorry. But think about it in the spiritual realm. If you're a police officer and you have that bulletproof vest on and it's protecting a vital organ and this job is to protect your heart, think about it when you are in the spiritual realm. And as God is saying, put in your whole armor, it's protecting your heart. And God wants your heart to protect it. And He, in the spiritual realm, He's protecting you from a lot of things that you've been going through. A lot of things He wants to deliver you from. A lot of things He needs to deal with. And when your heart is broken, a lot of times we try to fix our heart. We try to fix the situation. When you have a broken heart, and not just a relationship broken heart, but broken heart from a job, broken heart from family, broken heart from anything. When we try to fix it. We try to fix it by doing things. We try to fix it by talking to people. We try to fix it by, especially when it comes to relationships, we try to fix it by, getting a new relationship because you don't want to feel the pain of the broken heart. You don't want to feel the pain of your spouse breaking your heart because they forgot about your birthday or your family members or your kids and your heart is broken. And so we try to fix it. And God is trying to tell us, no, you can't fix it. I need to fix it. Allow me to fix it. But in order for Him to fix it, we have to open up our hearts. And it's like the breastplate is to protect our hearts. But our hearts, we guard our hearts to a point that we won't even allow God in. And that's the dangerous part. So God is saying, protect your heart. When He talks about the breastplate of righteousness, protect your heart. Now, protect your heart. You got to think about what is on your heart that He needs to protect you from. What is that on your heart that God wants to minister to? What are you carrying in your heart that is so heavy, that is blocking your worship, that is blocking your praise, that is blocking you from hearing God, that is blocking your peace, that is blocking your joy? There's something you're carrying in your heart that God is saying, I'm trying to get to the heart and I can't get to your heart because you're blocking me and everybody else. And a lot of times we put these walls up, no matter what situation of life issues, whatever has happened. Hey, Mary, to you, we put blockage up there and we block our heart and we think we're doing it right, but God is saying no, because you're blocking it to the point that you're not even letting Him in. And He wants to get in. He wants to protect. He wants to deliver, but He needs to deliver that thing that you have in your heart that's attacking your heart. So you have to ask your question, what is attacking my heart? Really, we got to get real deep serious about it. Past relationships of what a person did to you in the past and they broke your heart because they didn't come through. They promised that they were going to do something that they didn't do. Or you got your heart broken because someone said I love you and they really didn't love you. When you found out they didn't love you, they just used you, your heart get broken. When you invested yourself in someone to the point that you thought it was going to go farther than it was, and it could be your spouse, it could be whoever situation that you're in, and you find that it didn't go any far, that broke your heart. So what is it that's holding your heart? It's like holding your heart hostage, that God can't get in, because God is saying, I need to attack. I need to deal with that thing that's attacking your heart. And many of you are allowing things to attack your heart to the point that you cannot even hear God. You cannot even move. It could be death. It could be guilt. Guilt from abortions. Guilt from past hurts, guilt from things that you've done, and it's attacking your heart. And God wants to deal with the thing that's attacking your heart, but we won't allow Him to do it. And he's many of you out there, you have a lot of hurt, you have a lot of pain, you have a lot of things that you're dealing with in the heart. So that's why God says protect the heart. Now, it's a difference of protecting the heart. There is a difference, and sometimes we get it mixed up. When He says guarding, it's different than blocking. Okay? He said to guard our heart. He did not say jam it up. He did not say shut it down. He did not say close it off. He said guard your heart. Many of us, we get in situations, things happen in our lives, and we shut down. We don't let nobody in. That's not guarding your heart. We're jamming up with hatred. We're jamming up with bitterness. We're jamming up with all guilt. We're jamming it up, but that's not guarding your heart. Okay? We are shut down completely. Well, we become, I don't want to say heartless, but people will become heartless. They don't care what they say out of their mouth to whoever they say it to. They feel I say what I want to say when I want to say it, you receive it, whatever. You're becoming heartless because now you don't care about people's feelings. You don't care about people's heart because you're at a point where you're saying nobody cared about me. Nobody cared about how I feel. So why should I care about how other people feel? I don't care how they feel. They broke my heart. Okay, then so I'm going to break somebody else's heart. What's the use? We you know how we do. We talk to ourselves. We get these attitudes because we've been heartbroken. We've been heartbroken. And God has said, he said, I said, guard your heart. Not jam it up. Some of you got your hearts jammed up with a whole lot of mess. A whole lot of stuff. Stuff from your past. Stuff from when you were little that you're carrying in your heart. And you're not guarding it. You're blocking it. You're not safeguarding it. You're shutting it down. You're shutting it down where you're not even allowing God to come in and to deliver and to set you free and to let you see how much he loves you, how wonderful he is, all that he can do. So this is why they had the breastplate of righteousness, was to guard their heart so nothing can penetrate it, nothing can go through. So when you put your armor on, you're putting your breastplate of righteousness on, it's to guard your heart, not to shut out things, not to shut it down, but to guard it for the enemy from hitting you and attacking you. So for guarding it, for allowing someone to come in your life that you know is not good for you, and you've seen the red flags, and God didn't show you 50 million red flags, and God is saying, you know what? No more. No more. No more. I ain't showing you no more flags. I have shown you flags. You keep praying, you keep asking me, and you keep saying, you know, I tell people all the time, if you're in a relationship you're not sure about, ask, pray, and ask God, show me their true, authentic self. And better be ready for what God shows you. Now, if you're not ready for God to show you, that doesn't have to be just relationships. That can be friendships, that can be relatives, false, whatever. You ask God to show you people's true, authentic self, and when he begins to show you who they really are, accept who they really are. Don't make excuses. We love to make excuses, guys. We love to say, well, I give him a second chance. He has potential. He has potential. Yeah, you know, they have potential. Potential for what? God has shown you who they really are. So he's not saying take your heart and jam it up, because we'll take it and put on our armor to the point that we won't let nothing penetrate it. We won't let nothing flow. So we have to protect it. One way to guard it is by keeping it open. And you probably say, keep it open. If I keep it open, I'm going to get attacked and things are going to happen and people are going to attack me. But no, that's not it. It says keep it open because out of it flows. Out of it flows life. Out of your heart flows who you are. Out of your heart flows what's going on with you. So you can't shut it down because it needs to flow. You need to go through the pain. Because if you shut it down, you're keeping the pain inside. And the pain does what? It starts to fester, starts to bring a virus, it starts to eat things up, it starts to contaminate your insides to the point that you're just nasty and bitter and mean and don't want to be bothered with nobody. You get this attitude, ladies, I don't do men, I don't want to be with no man because he hurt me. Because you know why? You close your heart down. You didn't leave it open in order for things to flow out your heart. Okay? We shut it down. God's not saying shut it down and close it all. He's saying keep it open because you keep it open because things flow. Sometimes you know what? Many of you don't like to talk about some things. Many of you don't talk about when you're hurting. You keep it in. Let's be honest. We keep it in. You get hurt. Someone hurt you. You don't talk about it. You sit at home. You have your pity party. You have it for one day. You have it for 2 days. You find yourself at a week in a pity party. You find yourself at a month in a pity party. God is saying that's enough pity parties. Because you're keeping it in. One thing about deliverance and one thing about getting set free and one thing about moving in this walk with God is that you got to open up your heart. You got to let things flow out. You can't keep things in because you keep things in, you're just making things toxic. You're keeping a lot of toxic stuff inside. And a lot of you don't know how to let it out. You can't keep all this stuff in. This stuff it's festering up. Many of you is festering up, and you won't let it go. And what happens is when you do let it go, you let it go on the wrong people. You attack the wrong people. You even attack yourself because you're not letting it go. Then you get mad at God because now you're throwing out everything. It's like you're throwing up everything and spending everything all out the wrong place. And God is trying to give you a safe way to get it out. And because you didn't close your heart down, you didn't shut it down. So all this stuff is boarding up. It's boarding up. All this hurt, this pain, this anger. And then what else we do, guys? And many of you probably can attest to this. You can put in the comment section. We get busy. We get busy. We start to working. We start to doing stuff. We start to, doing all kind of things. Hey, Sandra, thank you for joining. And we start to cover up the stuff. And what happens is it gets pushed down. Because you're doing everything else. And then you're pushing down the hurt, the pain, the bitterness, and all the stuff that you've gone through. You're pushing it down. Stuff is on top, and it's pushing it down. And so you're guarding your heart. Okay? Your heart is here, all right, in things that you're going through. And so it's pushing it down. And then after a while, your heart is so covered up that nothing can get in, nothing can penetrate. God can't even get in. So, and then when it does, you just explode. Stop. Let it come out. Talk about it. Scream about it. Talk to the Lord about it. Walk outside and let it out. Talk about it. If you can't talk to other people about it, if you can't trust nobody to share anything with, then you talk to God about it. You have some time, but you need to get it out. He says, open your hearts. Let things flow. He didn't tell us to shut our hearts down. He said, open our hearts up, because when you shut it down, that's when the enemy gets in, because now you shut it down for God getting in, and the enemy's getting in, and now he's talking to you. He's having you think crazy things. He's having you thinking nobody likes you. People are talking about you. This person don't like you. What's wrong with me? Was I not cute enough? Was I not smart enough? Maybe I was too skinny. My skin was too dark. My hair was too short. It wasn't long enough. Maybe I was too fat. Maybe I was too skinny. All that starts to come because you know why? You shut down your heart. So God is saying, open up your heart. Let things flow. Let it flow. Because when you let it flow, it's coming up, it's coming out. Now I can do what I need to do in order to bless you and get you where you need to go. But if you keep everything in, and you keep it in, and you're not letting things go, and you're guarding your heart the wrong way, then you become toxic to yourself. You become toxic to everybody else. And now you just had yourself a heart attack. You done had a heart attack. Now your heart has attacked every organ, everything within you. And now you sitting there, everybody got to rush you to the emergency room for the doctors to try to bring you back. Just the same thing when it comes to Christ, your spiritual walk. You shut everything in and you have a spiritual heart attack. You have a spiritual heart attack to the point now you really got to be rushed to the altar, and God got to come in and do serious surgery on you, and he has to cut you up, and he has to dig deep and pull things out. And when he does it, that's the messy stuff. That's the stuff when you got to get boo-hoo crying, and you got to get real ugly for the Lord, and all this stuff starts pouring out, and you don't want nobody to know it, and you're in the middle of somewhere, and now everybody know all your business, because God said, okay, now I got to do serious surgery. I got to go in, I got to pull all this stuff out. When I gave you opportunity to let it go, now you had a heart attack because you kept it in. So when he talks about the breastplate of righteousness, it's to guard our hearts for allowing the enemy to come in and to penetrate. Not to shut down, but to guard it of who you allow to talk to you and impart in your spirit. Who you allow to minister to you. Guard your heart when it comes to relationships. Don't be giving all your information. Don't be giving all this. If God's telling you don't do it, God is telling you no, this is not the one, then do what he says. He's trying to guard your heart from being heartbroken. Listen, he sent many signs. He tells us red flags, but a lot of times we miss our red flag. So when he says protect it, one way is to guard it by keeping it open, because out of it flows. Your heart should be flowing, and you're not seeing God's best because you have closed your heart. So you're not seeing God's best in your life. God's got greater works for you guys. He got so many blessings, so many things he wants to do in your life. But you can't see his greater works because your heart is closed. You shut it down. And many of you are probably saying, no, I don't think so. My heart is good. I let God know. Dig a little deeper, baby. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. because there's some things down in there that you have probably forgotten about, that you have submerged to the point that you is no return. But eventually something's going to trigger it. It's going to come up, and you're going to have to deal with it. So let it flow out. Let God do what he needs to do. He wants to flush and cleanse your heart. You know, he wants to flush and detox some of you. He wants to cleanse some of you out. You've been toxic. You have been and heard so many things. So many people. People have just given you stuff and giving you stuff and giving you stuff. To a point some of you don't even know the voice of God from people. God needs to flush you out. He needs to cleanse you out. He needs to do a detox in you. So you can hear his voice and not everybody else. So that's what's so important. So when we're talking about the breastplate of righteousness, and for those of you who are coming in, we've been talking about our women's Bible study. We've been talking about Ephesians 6 chapter, talking about the woman in the armor of God, and how we as women can use the armor of God, and how we need to be using the armor of God in this walk, in our everyday walk, and what we need to do. So when you're guarding your heart from when you're at work and the enemy's trying to attack you with negativity and stuff like that, you're guarding your heart from that negative stuff. You know, you may be listening to some gospel, you got a song in your spirit, you didn't have prayer, you may need to step away and go to the bathroom and pray. That's guarding your heart, so you won't allow the enemy to come in with a whole lot of mess to pull you down. All right? And don't, as I said, don't think guarding your heart is shutting people out. A lot of you are, you're guarding your heart, but you're jamming it up. You're shutting people out. Okay? My phone is about to die on y'all in a minute. So, I'm going to get ready to close this out. It ain't got dark. That's how the enemy works. Because, hold on. I have to charge it. And I need to put my charger in. Just give me 1 second, guys. Just, I need you to, this is what happens when you go live. You know. It happens when you go live. But as I'm saying, you know, we have to just really be careful when it comes to, you know, when we talk about the armor of God. I don't want you to look at it in the way that we have always been looking at it. But when we're talking about breastplate of righteousness, you're putting on your breastplate as you wake up every day. It's just to guard your heart, to guard yourself, protect your heart from the enemy, from trying to attack with stuff and trying to bring up negative stuff in your life. You're not good. You're not smart. You know, he stole these darts and trying to penetrate your heart. And if you allow it to happen, it would get in. But don't allow it to get in. Okay? Your breastplate is there to protect it. You know, when you're in a relationship, don't allow, you know, the toxicity of that relationship to get in. Guard your heart in a relationship. Okay? Protect it. Not close it off, but protect it. Just like you protect your children or your pets or whatever you protect at home. You're guarding it. You're protecting. No one's gonna. No, you're not gonna penetrate. You're not gonna come in. I'm protecting my kids. No one. You know, same way you do for yourself when it comes to protecting your heart. Don't shut it down, but just protect it. All right. So we're going to get on out of here and close out. But I thank you all for joining. Next week we're going to talk about the shoes of the gospel and the shield of faith. I think I'm going to try to do two of them at the same time if the Lord's will. All right. Like I said, I was running late today of getting on. Usually I try to get on at 7 o'clock for those of you who are coming in, and try to do from 7 to 7:30. The Lord's will. If people have comments, you want to comment and talk about it. And everything what we're talking about, you know, if it goes longer, it goes longer. But usually it should be from 7 to 8. And I just said 7 to 8 to give people time to come on if they want to share some comments and talk. We'll have enough time to do that and share. But we're talking about the whole armor of God, the woman in the armor of God, how we can use the armor and how we should be using the armor every day in our everyday walk of life in what we need to do. So, we're going to talk about the shoes of the gospel of peace, and we're going to talk about the shield of faith for those of you for next Monday. So make sure you come on. But I thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Who else was up there? Let's see. Heavenly. Hey, Heavenly. Thank you, Heavenly, for coming on, because I know Heavenly can contest about that bulletproof vest. and what it does, how it is used to protect, how it's used to protect them and their vital organs. And so that's why it's important that you put on your breastplate of righteousness to protect yourself against the wiles of the enemy. And remember, you're not fighting each other. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. We're not fighting against each other. We're fighting the enemy. We're fighting him in spirit. Okay? All right, I'm out. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.